Think it's working. I've never done this before.
It says it's live on YouTube, so.
Awesome. Okay, think it's working. I've never done this before. It's making me echo. All right, so welcome.
YouTube, so.
Awesome. Okay, think it's working. I've never done this before.
What's the YouTube?
It's making me echo.
What's the YouTube name?
Vickery Meadow, but I'm not sure how to find it.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess you guys could hear me echoing. I just figured out why. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and start. So we have amazing people with us today. So I want each of our Eagle Scholar graduates, here's what I'm gonna ask you to do. I'm gonna ask you to start and introduce yourself. Tell us, of course, who you are, what college you go to, what year you are, and what your major was. And then I want you to pass it off to the next person. So, Ruha, I'm going to let you start since you know how to do that, and then you just pass it off.
Okay. Hi, my name is Ruha. I am a student at UT Austin. I am going to enter into my sophomore year, and I'm studying International Relations and Global Studies. It's a long name. We just call it IRG. And I will go ahead and pass it on to Ruth.
Hello, my name is Rita Cork. I am a recent graduate from the University of Houston. I graduated actually this May. I got a bachelor's of science in health with a focus in public health and a minor in sociology. I'll pass it to Tishi.
Hi guys, my name is Tishi. I go to UT Dallas and I'm going into my sophomore year. I'm majoring in ATech and marketing. I'll pass it on to Moon.
Hi, I'm going into my third year at Texas A&M Commerce, and I don't know how to do the background, so here's my commerce shirt. And my major originally was business. I was doing business administration, but I didn't like it, and I almost dropped out of school because of it, but Miss Janet convinced me, and I'm still in school right now, and my major now is sociology with a minor in history. I don't know who's next.
Fantastic. I think that's it, isn't it? All right, so scholars or interns, I'm going to just have you guys put your questions in the chat. If you have questions, please plan to ask questions, because I think they want you to, I want to hear from them based on what you want to know. So put your questions in the chat, or you can use the participants side panel and you can raise your hand and we can call on you. So I'll let Miss Esther, you have co-host powers. So if you can maybe manage that chat, that would be awesome. And the hand raises. And I'm just going to start out asking a few questions. I'm going to ask maybe a general question, but Moo, I want to make sure to come back to what you just said. So let me just start with this. What questions did you guys have? Did each of you have while you were in high school about college, or what questions or maybe concerns? So let's just start. Let's say Ruth, tell me about that.
So I was a first generation college student. So I always wanted to know, I guess in high school, what college was like, because I set it up to where I was away from home. So I guess like there was questions on like, okay, so how do you not feel homesick when you're going to school? How do you manage your time? What does classes look like? What support looks like when I'm away from college? I'm gonna pay for it. So those type of questions of what it looks like on a day-to-day were my biggest questions when I was in high school.
Okay. So Ruha, tell me about what were your fears or hesitations about going to college, maybe either before you got there or even once you thought you were there and kind of, after your senior year was over and you're trying to get into college. I mean, what were some of your fears and concerns and hesitations?
I think my biggest one was not being like good enough or smart enough for college. Which is like, I don't know, I maybe it's just the imposter syndrome in me always telling me like, oh, you're like, you barely learned English and you're a first generation college student, like how dare you like go to Austin, go to UT Austin, 50,000 students, how are you going to get the attention you need, and how are you going to get the help you need. So it's just, yeah, my senior year, I always, and even once I started like the first month, I really thought I wasn't, getting the material. I thought I was understanding some things, but then maybe I wasn't studying enough. There was no standard for me to measure against. I was, the first one in my family to go to college. But I think that fear helped me a lot because if I saw my friends were like, studying, I don't know, 5 hours a week, I always thought, okay, you need to study 10 hours a week. Like you need to, put more effort. And, I finished my first semester with great, grades, and yeah.
So Tishi, tell us about your childhood and how and just growing up, coming to the United States, and then making it from this kid who just came to the United States and then getting and living in Vickery and then heading off to college. I mean, tell us about that journey and how that impacted maybe your college or what you thought about college and everything.
So I came to the United States in 2007 and I was 7 years old then. And living in Vickery was it was nice because of all the diversity and everything. So I feel like I got a lot out of that. And also Eagle Scholars helped me a lot with experiences and everything. So I feel like it helped my college experience in that I was just not another like number. I had experiences that I could pass on to others.
Okay. And Mume, tell us about you mentioned this in your intro. So you almost dropped out of college. Like you did drop out of college. Like you were really not in college and they were saying you cannot come back. What happened? Why did it get to that point? Where did that come from? Help us understand that.
I feel like maybe it's even more common in like first generation students too. Like you feel this pressure of like having to make your parents happy, keep your family happy, and you like going into school. You think of a major that's gonna make you the most money. That will give you your family a face. But then when I picked business, I went in with the intentions of, oh, even if I don't know what I want to do after school, business is very broad. Maybe I can get into anything with a business degree. But 2 years into school, and I like as I got more into my major, I realized like I do not enjoy this. And then I kept thinking like maybe school is not for me. It's too hard. And then that's when Europe was brought up, and everyone I knew around me was going to Europe, and they were saying all these great things about still taking college classes at El Central, but being able to intern immediately afterwards, and with the possibility of getting a job already, like being placed into the company you intern with, and that tempted me. I was in the program. I withdrew from school, and then I was in the program, but after Miss Janet talked some sense into me before I do anything, just talk to Miss Janet, and Billy was there too, and then they brought up a great point about school. Like even if 4 years from now you finish school, like Europe is still going to be there. You want to do programs like that. There's a lot of programs like Europe where they place you job placement and internships, and but it might be hard to get back into school after you've taken a break and trying to talk yourself back into it. Because then even though there are older people who go back to school after not being in school, it is kind of intimidating because you feel like, oh, these are new kids out of high school. What if I don't fit in? What if I'm too old? So I went back into school, and then I realized I looked into my classes that I really enjoyed while I was still in school, and I always felt like I enjoyed doing work. And there was this class that I took. It's called Separate and Unequal. It was about redlining, all the, even though slavery is over, there's a lot of things that still, the divide between minorities and white people who get opportunities are like so different. And then I realized I enjoy that, so I changed my major to sociology. And I prefer writing a bunch of essays over doing math, so I love my major now. Yeah.
Thank you. So let's see. Who or what do you think kind of helped you get to I mean, who or what kinds of things helped you guys prepare for college? And what advice would you give to the scholars about that from your own experience? So let's start with Tishi.
So I had a lot of mentors, especially in Eagle Scholars and also at the school I went to, which was Irma Rangel. And I think just the people around me in YPF and collegiate nights like that, it really helped because there were people there to guide me and help me in my indecisive mind. So yeah.
Ruth, what about you?
So when I was in my graduating year, my graduating class was a little smaller. There was 4 of us. And so those kind of having kind of 3 people or a group of people that were going through the same exact process as you made it a lot easier to answer questions or ask questions because we were all in the same boat. When I got to college, Eagle Scholars was very helpful in regards to like giving me a piece of home when it wasn't there. Because I know for me, when I went to college, I didn't know anybody on campus. So I got homesick pretty quickly. And that obviously affected like how I did in school and stuff like that. So kind of having support from your family, from friends back home, from Eagle Scholars, it helped a lot when you were there. And it helped a lot in regards to encouraging me before I got there.
Ruha, what about you?
I think just like Tishi mentioned, I also had a lot of mentors in Eagle Scholars and in my high school. Of course, Miss Janet and Miss Tiffany were there in my senior year where I got rejected by like 12 colleges. They were all out of state, but I mean, it was pretty stressful. But then I had also my chemistry teacher who was actually not teaching at Conrad anymore, but we still kept in touch. And she really helped me understand majors and like what I wanted to do, what I was interested in. She was the one who introduced me to law. She also has a law degree. I don't know what she's doing teaching, but that's beyond the point. So yeah, I think Eagle Scholars for sure was a big help, just navigating everything. I mean, senior year, you don't realize how much stuff you have to get done until you get to your senior year, and then you're worrying about your credits and graduating, and if you're involved in clubs in your school, then you have all of those responsibilities. But then college, the big, your future. So yeah, for sure, all of the people around me.
Mume, what about you?
I feel like Eagle Scholars played a big role in my decision to go to school and the things I knew going into school, because when I moved away to a different high school and I wasn't in the Victory Middle area anymore, if I didn't put in that effort to go back to Eagle Scholars every Thursday night, to go back in the summer, I feel like I would not have been as prepared as I was going into school, because when I was at the new school, I was so shy, and I like didn't know how to talk to my teachers. Like I didn't know how to take the initiative of like asking them these questions about school. And over there they didn't really have a program like Eagle Scholars, and so I feel like Eagle Scholars did play a big role, and showing up to YPF and collegiate nights. Those things really help, because I realized when I went to college, my friends that didn't have those opportunities to have like these programs, um, they take out a lot of loans, and they're not scared of taking out, and I'm so scared of taking out loans, and they don't know the difference between subsidized and unsubsidized. They just think, oh, it's money in my financial aid, I can just take it. And like, when I saw them do this, I'm like, how are you, like, I felt so nervous for them, because when even though not all loans are bad, I still felt like if it's not something that's given to me and that I won't have to pay back, I I cannot accept it. And so Eagle Scholars did play a big role in making the decision about like financial aid, of course, and scholarships. Scholarships, my friends didn't have scholarships, so they were paying, like they had the payment plans, and sometimes I will see them make the payments like month to month. And like, especially if I didn't have a job, I felt so worried, like where would I get the money to pay for my schools, and if I didn't have that, like would I get like kicked out of school? And that made me nervous.
And I think a lot of you guys really worked hard on scholarships. Do you want to offer any kind of words of wisdom or bits of advice on scholarships for others, I mean, especially seniors, and we have several seniors on, but even for the younger ones?
I feel like just apply to as many as you can. Like, don't look at the amount. Actually, that doesn't matter, because even if you apply for all the $5,000 ones, if you don't get those, then you don't get them. But if you apply to a lot of like 200, 250, if you have a lot, then you get a better chance of getting some than none when you just apply to like two big scholarship amounts.
And just to
Shot.
of that, oh, I was just gonna say apply to local ones, which also goes with that. Like, don't like worry about the Gates scholarship. I mean, that's great, but there's a smaller chance of you getting it versus like woman lead, which is 3 schools competing. So yeah.
If you're confident about which school you're going to go to, look at the scholarships they have at the school too, because they have really good academic ones and diversity ones too.
I found scholarships the most helpful. It paid my entire way through school. So by God's grace, I didn't have to take out a loan. But I found that when you become very serious and dedicated about getting scholarships, because I knew that my mother didn't have the money to shell out $20,000 a year to go to school. And I went to a relatively affordable school in comparison to other Texas. So I knew at least kind of the way my mind worked was I knew the school that I want to go to and I knew how much it cost. But I kind of in that sense worked backwards. So when it came to scholarships, I already had like recommendation letters prepared. I already had teachers prepared that I wanted recommendation letters or mentors. When it came to any tax information, had that on file. When it came to essays, I had like drafts of different essays and like spreadsheets and binders. So I feel like it helped stay very organized and consistent. One thing that I found very helpful is to reach out to your counselors at school. At Townview, my counselor was very helpful on exposing me to different scholarships that I would have no idea if they didn't have someone on campus that was there to give them out. So I found that like on school counselors or mentors or any college readiness things, they have access to different scholarships, as well as your university, more specifically the college of the university that you're going to. So I was in the College of Education at the university, and they have specific scholarships for those students as well. So there's many different places that you can get them, but I found that if you're very motivated and determined to apply for every scholarship that comes your way, as long as you meet the basic requirement.
So all of you guys sound like pretty confident over this. And yeah, I did scholarships, I paid for my way through college, all of this stuff. That's not the way I remember you your senior year. Can you guys talk about what happened your senior year when you were thinking, I mean, we have been telling you for years, apply for these scholarships, you will get the scholarships, you'll get to college, you will get accepted into a college. And then I think all of you guys, I don't know for sure, I'm thinking of a couple of you at least, that doubted us and didn't believe that. Can you tell, because I'm sure that other scholars as they come up are having the same thoughts and feelings. Tell us about that.
I can go first. So I feel like this was another little sluggatory type of thing because it's a little shady. Because when we were in high school, full transparency, we had a breakdown, or I had a breakdown, like every week, every 2 weeks, especially when like second semester kicked in and like people were getting like where they were going to get accepted to, people were figuring out how much like they were going to get in grants or what have you. So it was very stressful. But I think, I guess like the motivating factor of like what helped is it was kind of like knowing that somebody else was there, like rooting for you or helping you, or you had like other people to speak to, made it more like, so when Miss Janet or whoever would like speak to us about like, okay, this is what you got to do. This is a scholarship you have to do. We want you to go to college. We've been like rooting for you to go to college. You're enough to go to college. You're enough to go whatever college you want to go to. Over time, when you kind of hear that more repeatedly, like you start to believe it within yourself, even when you're like, this is too hard. Like it's too much money. It's too hard. It's too far. It's too stressful. It's too whatever. So I think having someone there that was like with you all the time that you were stressed or panicked or worried or scared helps in the end. But there were many breakdowns. Even in college, there were breakdowns. When I changed my major, there were even more breakdowns, but it's okay.
I know you might think that question was targeted to you, Ruth, but it wasn't, because I can guarantee you that every single person on this panel and every single senior I've ever seen in Eagle Scholars has had the same experience. Who else wants to address that?
I was just gonna say, I guess for me, I didn't really understand how expensive college is until like I went to college. Because I mean, we've done these panels and, I've been in Eagle Scholars for, 6 years. And people would come on and say, oh yeah, my college costs this much. Or Miss Tiffany would tell me how much debt she has. And, the numbers would just go over my head. Like I was a middle schooler, high schooler. But then once you realize, no, if you want to go to college, you have to, like for me, I have to pay $20,000 a year to, be at this university. I mean, not now because I live in an apartment, but, my first year. And then you realize, oh, like my financial aid only covers this much. And then that's when you realize the importance of the scholarships you get. So I guess like starting now, just understand that the money is important. And you will need it. Like if you don't understand now, like once you're in college, you will be so grateful that you spent that time to apply for scholarships. And they don't have to be hard because, whatever you write for one scholarship, the next one probably is asking like a similar question. So you just have to really edit your essays and it's the same basic information. So one advice would be to keep like write everything in Google Docs and have everything you write your senior year like in one place. So you can, applying to scholarships doesn't have to be, as exhausting as, it was for me.
So I have a question from Stephanie. How do you differentiate yourself from so many people going to the same school? And Stephanie, if you have any certain person you want to ask, feel free to type that in the chat too. Anyone? Can anyone take that?
Okay.
Tiffany, how did you differentiate yourself?
Kind of cringy, but just be yourself, I guess. And don't change yourself because people will catch that real quickly in college. They will catch that you're trying to make up for something in high school or something. So be yourself and yeah.
And let me just say something about Tishi, and actually about all of these guys. Tishi worked really, really hard, and what she's at UTD, but she took advantage of their bridge program, which offered you can speak to this more than I can, Tishi, but offered a summer program before school started, but also scholarship money with that. So I mean, she didn't wait until the end. And because she didn't wait till the end, she has like more than enough. I mean, Tishi could give me loans if they would let her do that with her scholarship money, which they won't. But Tishi has a lot of money for college. I believe Ruth was in the same boat because she applied for so many and she worked so hard and just started early and started working. I think Ruha, I know you have plenty of money. I can't remember how many scholarships you applied for. And Mume, I know I don't know if yours was covered or no, actually Moo, I know was a little bit more stressed because she was afraid that she wouldn't have the money, but ended up, working out and making sure that she asked for the scholarships at A&M Commerce that they had, and took the advice that we gave her, and she is covered in hers now. So do any of you guys want to say anything about the way that played out? Because I know that money is stressful, and you guys didn't necessarily believe us that yes, it'll come through, we promise, you've just got to keep working. What do you guys think about that?
Money wise, I know it can be pretty discouraging too, especially my senior year when my other seniors, my peers were getting a lot more scholarships than I was, because I wasn't too involved I didn't have a lot of extracurriculars at my school, and I felt like stressed and discouraged because I was like, how am I gonna pay for college when I didn't get the money that these people are getting? But I just finished 2 years, and the only time I had to come out of pocket was like to buy Scantrons or like buy some books or gas back and forth to home. So just be patient and like listen to Miss Janet. Miss Tiffany's not there anymore, but she's still there to help. You can still call her, text her, that they come through, and even if they can't give it to you, they'll give you resources to get the things you need. So I feel like just patience and trust in the system.
Okay,
I can try to
go
answer.
ahead. Go ahead, Ruth.
The differentiate yourself. I don't know if that's necessarily before college or after college. So in regards to UA specifically, at the time when I applied, didn't require us to have an essay. So it was very hard to look different on paper from anyone else because all you had was literally your name, your address, and your transcript. But when you are kind of writing essays to colleges, I find that though you might not believe it, your own, I guess, background, your own story of the reason why you want to go to school or go to college or become whatever profession you want to become is very unique, whether you realize it or not. So I found that when you did have essays, finding a way to express your why differentiated you without much work or much thought. And then when you were on campus, I feel like on campus is a little hard, but I find joint organizations that you're actually passionate about because it shows through more than your resume. In regards to scholarships, I got all of my scholarships in literally a month before I graduated. So I started scholarships my fall semester. I went to a really competitive high school. Actually, a friend in college and high school got the Gates Millennium Scholarship, and I was literally friends with him, and he had racked over 6 figures in scholarships and so when you're around that type of energy, you easily get discouraged, especially because it wasn't until April 1st or April 1st, April 15th when I got my first scholarship for college. So yeah, I feel like once you pass the hurdle of picking a college that you want to go to and getting accepted to the college, everything else falls into place if you put in that same work. It falls into place eventually, but it takes time. Because I literally didn't get anything till April, and I graduated in May. So.
Will joining extracurricular activities impact your college year? Were any of you guys in extracurriculars in high school, and how did that impact your college, or maybe even your application to college? Ruth, why don't you talk about your experiences in extracurriculars at the beginning of high school? So Ruth went to Townview Health,
Mhm.
and was in volleyball when she started Townview. So you want to tell them how that worked out in high school and how you know, what happened?
Yeah, so I played volleyball the first 2 years of high school because Conrad was my home school. I played at Conrad and then obviously like went to school physically at Townview. Um, I've always liked volleyball. I played volleyball when I was actually at Tasby as well. And out of like, it was a sport that I enjoyed. So Townview doesn't have sports. If you thought they did, they don't. So the first year is like a figure out year in a lot of aspects. So it was very easy and it was very fun. You know, work, like schoolwork wasn't too hard. Getting to play, like coming back home from Townview, we got home at like 5 almost. So like 5, going to practices, playing games. It was more fun than it was hard. And then the second year, it became a lot more difficult because of the time difference and how long it took to get home. So it took, with the traffic, it took almost like an hour to get home every single day. So it became to where we had to travel to the different schools where we were playing the game, which if you have after school tutoring, there's no way you can go to after school tutoring and be at a game at 7 o'clock if it takes you an hour to get places. So after my second year, I actually had to stop playing because it was very unrealistic with my schedule. But I enjoyed it. I found like extracurriculars were like fun. It kind of gave like a fun aspect to academics, and it was a great way to meet people because if you allow me, I'm naturally introverted. Like if I don't have to be around people, I'll be by myself for the rest of my life. So I feel like joining extracurriculars that you find fun kind of make it easier, make school go out a little easier.
Ruth, can you also, just to expound on that a little bit, if you don't mind, if you're comfortable with this, but I also know that your reasoning for dropping out of, or for stopping volleyball had to do with family stuff. And I feel like that might impact some of the scholars that we currently have on their decisions on whether or not to be involved in Eagle Scholars and how they juggle all of that. Can you talk about the struggle that you had with that and how you managed to do all of it?
All right. Okay, let's see. So I have a little brother. We have a 10-year age gap. So when I was in high school, it was like 5 or 7. So I have 2 older siblings. They went to college. They were away. So it was like me and my little brother, and also another little brother I had that was in high school at the time. So I became the, I guess, the guardian in some capacity of making sure that like my little brother, when someone came home from school, someone was there. When he had dinner, he had help with homework, stuff like that. It was very, okay, full transparency. So I went to Townview School of Health Professions in East Dallas. We live in North Dallas, if you don't know. So the commute to go to like school I had to walk to the bus, get on a bus, commute for an hour on this bus, and then go to school from like 9 to 4:30, and then at 4:30 or 4:15, get on the bus and be back home at like 5:15, right? And then you had to like, it was very long. And if you ever stayed like after school, you didn't get home till like 7:30, 8 o'clock. So I became very overwhelmed very quickly, especially when you do that entering your junior and your senior year. So it's like by the time you get home at like 7 o'clock, and we had like, we had collegiate, we had YPF, we had the Thursday Eagle Scholars nights. It was very easy to get very overwhelmed because I had to show up in so many different roles. So because of that, my sophomore year, on top of having to travel to different schools, I had to stop playing volleyball. to be able to devote as much time as I needed to going to school. And then my junior and senior year, it affected like the type of organizations I can join, just because like to be in an organization and to do something, you have to be able to make sure that obviously you have enough time to do it. So I found that like Eagle Scholars was more of like a safe haven in some aspects in regards to like the amount of responsibility that I had, because it was something that benefited me more than it like added more worry in a sense. I don't know if that answered the question to the best of your abilities, but it was a time. It was a time, but I found that like to manage my time, I had to get extremely organized with where I was going and what I had to do, both academically, personally, and in regards to Eagle Scholars and college readiness. So I found that like once you kind of build some type of structure, it helps. You're not Superwoman or Superman. That realization helps as well.
Thank you, Ruth. Mume, what keeps you motivated through your hard times in college?
Money, because when when you think about it, like right now, like I was getting like scholarship money to pay for my classes, but when you think about if you don't finish it in a timely manner, if you don't finish your things while like you have the luxury of the scholarships, once you run out of that scholarship and you have to retake these classes, you will have to go out of pocket. So like it's, do you want to get it done now while you have the opportunity and the resources to get it done, or like do you want to go out of pocket and work for this money and not be able to enjoy other things? So I feel like that's really important. And also just wanting to get out of like where you currently are, you know, like you don't want to be in the same neighborhood forever, even though like maybe you like this neighborhood, but you want to move up in the world, and you can't do that if you don't have anywhere to go without any like credentials to take you anywhere. So that's something that motivates me too. And that's why if I'm not in school, I'm constantly thinking of like a side hustle, like what am I gonna do to like make extra money on the side? What if this doesn't work out, what can I do? And that's why I do want to like take up sewing so I can have a side hustle on the side too. So
Awesome. Tishi, this is from Koemi. She says, you all had a hard time thinking about how things will turn out, and even in your first year of college. But now, how do you guys feel, or how are you guys making things work out?
Okay. My first semester of college, to be completely honest, I was very competitive with myself, and I only was thinking about the academic side. So I was just in my room all the time. I didn't really go out to talk to people. Like it was to the point where I couldn't go to the dining hall that was like just downstairs to eat because I didn't want to see people. But my second semester, I was like, wow, I really should like go out and see people. So I feel like college it's not gonna be how you really want it to be, but at the end, I feel like you will find your group of people and you will find what you're passionate about, and hopefully like make it through.
Awesome. Okay, I know I skipped a question because I saw something somewhere else. Let me find it. But in the meantime, I'm going to ask Ruha, how many schools did you apply to, and did you end up going to your top choice? If you didn't, what made you make that decision to attend a school that wasn't your top choice?
So thinking back to my senior year, I did a lot of things that kind of didn't make sense. I really was hoping to go to an Ivy League school. And the reason I say it didn't make any sense because now that I think about it, I do not want to go to an Ivy League school. Like I cannot see myself, going to Yale or, Stanford. But during my senior year, you know, these big name colleges, and then now you're a senior, you have the opportunity to, you know, go out of state and, you know, in 4 years have a degree from, I don't know, Stanford. But so I applied to 12, you know, Ivy League or wannabe Ivy League colleges through this program, which I can't even think of the name anymore. Questbridge, okay. So basically you would, you know, your whole college would be paid for if you get accepted to their program. And so by December, they needed me to tell them list 3 colleges and list them in order. So if I got into my, you know, first, second, or third choice, I would have to attend that college. So that was a lot of stress for me, you know, your first semester of your senior year, having to decide where you want to go to. And then if you get accepted, like it's set, you have to go. But I was, you know, I was so set on Columbia that I put Columbia as number 1, and then Stanford or some other colleges. And thankfully, I did not get accepted, or I would not be at UT now. And then they had another option for your second semester to list, you know, as many colleges as you want to, and then have them consider you again. And so I listed 12 colleges again. I don't know what was going through my head, really. But I did not get accepted to any of them. I got waitlisted by Harvard and Dartmouth, but I don't see myself going to any of those anyways. So then I just relied on my automatic admissions and applied to UT Austin. I already had a friend who actually graduated this year from UT, so I went to school with her for 1 year. So I had visited the college before. I had, you know, slept in her dorms. I actually knew what the dorms looked like. I had gone to Austin for concerts and things like that. So, you know, I knew the city. I knew campus. I knew that it was, you know, a great college. So then I ended up just applying to UT and getting accepted and going. Yeah.
So I think just one thing to note from that is kind of what Ruha is saying is sometimes, you know, you don't get accepted into the one that you've got your heart set on, but sometimes that works out. I mean, it works out to where maybe that wasn't what you needed in the first place. And so, I mean, it sounds like she's glad that she did go to UT. The other thing I was going to note from before was because Ruha mentioned earlier in one of her other comments that she wasn't sure if she was college material, and now she, you know, even through her first year at UT, she was a little concerned over that. Keep in mind, Ruha was the valedictorian of her class. She is, you know, she is definitely college material, and all of you guys are too. And so what I want you guys to realize from that is just because, you know, you don't have that confidence right now doesn't mean that you are not college material. All of you are college material. I need you guys to hear that over and over again. You belong there. You belong in college. Don't let anybody tell you any different. All right, I have another question. I'm going to do this one for, let's see. Let's do Tishi. How did you figure out what you wanted to major in?
So it was totally by accident the way I discovered the major that I wanted to be in, because I knew that I loved art, and I also knew that I love the technology side of things too. But I was like, which college should I go to that can combine all of those? And fortunately, some of the alumni from my school came to talk, and one of them was in the program called ATech, which is Art, Technology, and Emerging Communication. And that's how I jumped into, and that's how I got into the big hole of what ATech was. And I researched more on it, and I was like, oh my goodness, that is the major for me. And I'm so glad I chose it, because just the first semester, or maybe the second, like just the first year, so many things happened, and I couldn't be happier because Disney visited us and talked about, like, before Frozen 2 came out, we got to see the behind the scenes of everything. And I got to work with 3D animation this last semester, and all the tools that I was geeking out about. So it's awesome. ATech is awesome. If you're interested in animation or games or any of that, look look more into ATech at UTD.
Awesome. And Ranjita, you may have come in after Mumei spoke, but she also spoke about why she changed her major. And so I think knowing that it's okay to change your major, that is fine. And sometimes I think, you know, we take in what other people tell us, like this is going to be a good job later, but it's not something we enjoy. And so Mumei switched her major and found something that she really enjoyed. So if you want to, this is on YouTube, and so you'll be able to watch it later. So you might want to go back and see what Mumei said about that. Let's see, I have another question. So let's say, Ruth, what is the biggest change that college made on you as a person?
College, that is a great question, I will say. I think every year that I was in college, I unlocked a new kind of side to myself in regards to what I thought I was capable of doing and what I did. But the biggest change I would say is I'm a lot less I feel like if anything, I'm a lot more motivated on the things I want to do and a lot less nervous about uncertainty. Because I feel like entering college, before college, during college, and now post-college, I don't know, I guess I worried a lot about things, how things are going to turn out, what was going to happen, where I feel like in college, making it through college, and I went through a lot. Making it through college, I think I just became less scared of things that I didn't know, or I'm more interested and passionate about things that I want to do. So I think I became less scared.
I think, and let me follow up with this, Ruth. How did you know what college was right for you? You went off to Houston. Nobody had gone to Houston yet.
I did. I would say I'm a very analytical person. So I initially wanted to go out of state. I was very passionate about it. I was like, I'm going out of state. I saw the price of out of state tuition and I said, it's not for me. So I personally was more financial my senior year because I knew before I went to college that I wanted college to be fully paid for. So I was like, okay, can I really do 40,000 a year? Like, let me be realistic with myself. So once I knew I was staying in Texas, I made it more about location. So I'm a city girl at heart. So I knew that I wanted to be somewhere that was relatively city-like. At the time, I was a biology major and I was very pre-med heavy, and I was like, I'm going to be a specialized doctor in something. So I wanted to choose a school that had that. So I feel like it just depends on what you want out of a college, because in real life, you are shopping for colleges. So think about like what is right for you and what fits your personality. And then once you kind of find a list of things that fit your location, fit your costs, have your major, are in a city where you feel comfortable visiting that college. And one thing that someone told me that was very helpful is picture yourself on that college. Don't necessarily be like, oh my gosh, like, because I know when you go to college campuses, they're going to show you stuff that's very irrelevant. They're going to show you the statues and but it's very important to like, when you're like going through dorms and like walking through auditoriums and seeing dining halls, if it's something that's right for you and if it fits what you want out of your college experience. So that's how I'd say you pick it. It's just, what do you want?
Good answer. All right, so I'm gonna ask Mumei one last question, and then I'm gonna ask the final question to all of you guys. So Mumei, one of the things that I want, and again, this is kind of like, I know a little bit more than some people, so if you don't feel comfortable, that's fine. But I would like for you to tell how family maybe helped and maybe inhibited your college How was that for you your senior year? And even once you got into college, what was that like, kind of managing your family's expectations of you, and whether you stayed close to home, went away from home, all of that stuff?
Yeah. So I kind of have a rocky relationship with my family, but at the end of the day, like they're my family and I want the best for them. So when I picked the college, I picked one that was close enough to home where, as the oldest, like immigrants will know, like first generation kids will know that if you're the oldest, especially if you're a girl, that your parent family are gonna like rely on you so much for everything that if they needed me, I'm like I can go home like that same day. And but I still wanted that space, like I still had that space to be on my own while I was at college. And and also like studying, that at the end of the day it's gonna be like for what you're gonna enjoy, like even if you're taking something that's gonna help out your family in the long run. Because like I wanted to do business because I thought I wanted to like money. I just wanted all about money so that my family could be set. Like I wanted to be the breadwinner of the family. But if it's not something you enjoy, you can still make money like doing something that you will enjoy. And I had to come to terms with that because I did leave school because I felt so much pressure. But I just wanted to start working because I felt that pressure of just giving them giving them comfort, you know, like I wanted them to be comfortable already. But then I realized like maybe I can do something that I enjoy but it will still help out my family. And that's why I changed my major from business to sociology, because I do love nonprofits and like things like Eagle Scholars, like they have a special place in my heart. And I always want to do things that will involve helping the newer generations to realize their potential and to give back. Because I got that opportunity, I got that help, and I feel like other people deserve it. And if I am able to give that, I should give that. And I feel like even if I can't give my family the immediate financial assistance now, in the long run, I will be able to give them that by focusing on my education now and focusing on what I can do to help myself now. And then I can help them in the long run much better than I can with the full-time job now. So
Thank you. And final question, this is for everybody. We'll start with Ruha. What's a piece of advice you would give to current scholars and future scholars?
One piece of solid advice that like you can act on now and it's like really practical is taking dual credit. I know this is not like, oh, like believe in yourself, but like take dual credit classes, because I can tell you now, like I came to college with enough credit to be able to graduate in 3 years. And that is, you know, I think of that as a 1-year scholarship, you know, because when you're in high school, your classes are free, your dual credit is free. So then, you know, and you don't have to just strive to graduate early. The more basics you can get out of the way, you know, the less you have to pay for in college. You know, you don't want to be paying $1,000 to take government and economics if that's not part of your major. You really don't want to. So that's like, it's a practical piece of advice. But if you have to choose between AP and dual credit, do dual credit.
Tishi, what's your piece of advice?
Learn time management as soon as you can. And also the same as Ruha, like do dual credit classes, because whew, I really, really, really regret not doing more dual credit classes, because now it's biting me in the back. Because first of all, I wasn't really good at AP classes. I got through, but when the exams came, my scores were always like a little bit below. But had I done more dual classes, then I would have had the credit and wouldn't have had to take extra classes my freshman year or sophomore year for that. And for future scholars, if I had any advice, take advantage of Miss Janet and all, all of the people there that will help you. Take full advantage because they will be there for you. Don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid to lean on them when you need help.
Good advice. Awesome. Mume.
Yeah, dual credit. Like I didn't take dual credit in high school, and I really regret that. But even if you didn't take dual credit, if you don't take dual credit, I would suggest taking your basics at a community college first, because that will save you a lot of money. And like English and stuff, you can take it during the summer if you want, like before you go off to college. At like Richland, just register just a few classes, and then when you do go to like your university, you can take the classes that pertains to your major, and you will save a lot of money that way.
And Ruth, you get the last word.
So nice. You guys had great questions. This is even a great question as well. And dual credit is definitely important, especially in regards to AP, but mine is a little more cliche. So there's a lot of information that's going to be thrown at you very quickly, a lot of number information, a lot of course information, and it sometimes doesn't seem fun, and it doesn't seem like, it almost seems like why you put yourself through this. But for current scholars, especially like current graduates, if you are entering college this fall, very interesting time to enter college, I do say for myself. So I would say enjoy the experience as best as you can, and find joy even in the things that like are probably harder about the experience or annoying or stressful. Find joy in it, and within kind of every opportunity that you have for future scholars, current scholars, in adulthood, within like every experience that you have, see kind of what you can learn from it, and kind of just take key points from it of like what you can. So enjoy your experience. College is fun, you know, it's not meant to be all, oh my gosh, we take classes all day and just worry about loans. It is like a fun experience. So don't forget to have fun in the things that you do, and look at everything as a learning experience, even if it's hard.
And Ruth, that would be your life lesson number 2007.
I think we're past 2000. We're definitely in the 4,000 or 5,000.
I think you are now taking over my job, and so you are passing along the life lessons.
I had to add a cliche one. It makes it more fun, because I feel like everything that we're saying is very like, oh my gosh, you go to college and you got to get a loan, and you got to like, it's fun. Okay, like in the end, it's a joyful experience. It's great. You're gonna do great. You're gonna do well. Just have fun and learn from everything that you do.
Fantastic. Can we use our little reactions to give them all a big hand for all of this? Thank you guys. You guys were so awesome, and it is so amazing to be able to talk to you and see you now, where you are now, and just how you guys are, like, you've grown into adults. So yeah, I see. Yes, please thank them, and feel free to reach out to them. So I can, Ruth, Tishi, well, of course, Ruha, you're with us all summer, and Mume, are you guys okay with me sharing your information with the scholars if they want to reach out?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Get up my line.
Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you guys type your email, or whatever your contact information, type it in the chat. And then scholars, don't forget what we always talk about. Networking is huge. And the other thing that I really want to remind you of is, I think a lot of times when we talk about networking, we talk about like the big people, the people in companies and the people that are, I don't know, doing these amazing positions. What I want you to realize is, look at these 4 young women who are doing it, who are rocking this world, who are making a difference. They are your connections, and they are fellow Eagle scholars. And so the thing that, a lot of times we try to network and we try to make these connections with people that are, so far removed from us, that we miss the important people that are right beside us. And so as you're in Eagle Scholars now, get to know the other scholars, whether they're in the same culture as you, whether they're the same gender as you. Let me just say a couple of things that I remember about. So one of my favorite memories, I've got a lot of favorite memories, but this is one of them at the very beginning. So Tishi and Ruth did not know each other when I came on back in 2013. They had been going to Eagle Scholars, but they didn't know each other. And I asked the scholars to come before summer program started and to create art for the walls, for the doors. And Tishi's a great artist, and Ruth likes doing the art stuff too. And they were both of them were very willing to help. So they came up and then they got to know each other. Tishi and Ruth don't look like each other. They don't come from the same countries or anything like that. But what they found was that they liked each other, and they found that they lived near each other. So every day they would walk each other, down Park Lane to get home. And so they formed this great friendship. And that to me is so invaluable, because their friendship can last a lifetime. And I know Ruth is going to be great. She's already gone out. She's already graduated. She's going to be great. I know Tishi is going to be a sophomore in college, but good grief, she's going to have animation and stuff behind her. She's going to do great things. So the fact that they know each other is going to benefit them later, because they are connected to each other. So you never know who in Eagle Scholars might be a good connection for you later. You never know, they may not speak the same language as you, and that's okay. They may not look like you, and that's okay. They may not even be the same age as you. Tishi's going to go into her sophomore year. Ruth just graduated, but that's okay, because you learn from each other. So use those opportunities. That's who we are. I mean, that's beautiful. And it allows us to not only have our voices that we want to speak out, but we get to hear voices in Eagle Scholars. The great thing is we get to hear voices from so many different perspectives. And in this world, whether or not you feel like right now the world is listening to all of that, the world needs you. The world needs you. The world needs your voice, and they need your experiences, and they need who you are. So I need you guys to really take hold of that, and don't give up before it's finished. Don't give up and think, okay, well, I got to work now because I got to take care of my family now. That's true, and you can do that. But just like Ruth talked about, I mean, she juggled it and she made it work. And I know that that's possible. So I thank you guys so much for being so awesome. And yes, I haven't teared up yet, but you guys just make me so proud. I know. So yes, thank you for being awesome. Thank you for going off to college. Thank you for coming back and always being willing to share with the rest of our scholars. And scholars, please use their information. I know each of them are more than willing to connect with you. So thank you guys. We will do this again. And graduates, you're welcome to join us again at the same link if you want to come next week. Next week, right now, we have Melody, who went to UT. We have Lisbeth Frias, who went to UTA, and Alberto, who is at A&M. And so yeah, and I'm working on one more. So come back next week and we will do it all over again. Thank you.
Bye.